in order to go about these changes to find more joy and be happier and find those moments where you're like, you're just happy, you know, and you want to scream it from the rooftop. It just starts with a change in perspective.
Yes.
And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, is that the steps to being happier don't always equate to having to do something incredibly taxing on you physically, mentally, financially. You know, it's not a matter of having to change something big. It could be a subtle, small change that goes a long way.
That's
right.
And
I know you have a book coming out.
Yes.
In the spring of 2020. So coming up, Deep Peace Beyond Suffering. I love that title. And I feel like it embodies everything that you are standing for in your work. So can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect in your book, and maybe even some tips or strategies? I don't want to give too much away, but to encourage people to want to go out and check out your book. What can we expect in Deep Peace Beyond Suffering?
Well, let's go back to that moment after the car accident. There I am experiencing this awakening of incredible joy and moments of deep peace spontaneously happening. Yet I was in a household with a family where during the last 3 years, from 19 to 22, there was a considerable amount of suffering happening within my mother, my father, between my siblings and my parents. So we were in the middle of it felt like a war zone at times. And yet there were great moments and great days as well. But in that extraordinary amount of suffering, I had to rely upon going within, finding that stillness again. Mm-hmm. And those moments would occur when I'm in the middle of, say, a suffering moment with the family being in such craziness. My brothers and I had to walk out of the house just to get away from the madness. And but as soon as I come back in, I'd be practicing meditation in my bedroom. And so it was literally the art of being still, the art of breath awareness that would actually constantly support that peace that was arising already through the car accident. It was, you could say, illuminating it even more and making it more palpable whilst in the middle of that suffering milieu, you could say. So in reality, both truths were happening. There was great suffering and there was great peace. And so it really showed me that it's not necessary that we have to get free of all of our suffering and transform or transmute everything. It's about being dedicated to finding that peace in the middle of darkness. You could say finding the light within the middle of the darkness and learning how to work and to live within this paradox that we call life. So that gave me a tremendous amount of insight. So I also then started to introduce one of the meditations, which was gazing at a candle, because I read on the internet, not internet, but in a book one day. The internet wasn't around at the time, actually, but I read in a book something about a very ancient candle-gazing meditation called Tratak. So I started practicing this meditation. And this is also illuminated within the book as well. You'll find that as well. In the gazing of the candle, it did the most extraordinary thing you could ever imagine, especially for a 21 going on to 22-year-old man, just entering my adult life. All of a sudden, after about 3 months of this candle gazing, I blew out the candle, watched the image of it in my forehead, which is around what they refer to as the third eye region, and all of a sudden it started to spread out and fill the whole of my head, and it intensified and intensified. Then it started to fill my whole, and a peacefulness was emerging from all of this as well, another level of peace. But then it started to fill my whole body, and it just kept expanding and expanding until finally my body form dissolved. All that there was me as an awareness sitting on a chair with no awareness of even a chair for that matter anymore, but I was aware of sitting, in a sense, I was in the middle of formless light that had an extraordinary blissfulness that was with it. And in that moment, it was like being at home. It's like, oh, I know this. I know this. And I was ready to disappear forever, it felt like. I didn't need anything else. It felt like perfection, absolute perfection. And,
wow.
But all of a sudden, it was like a message from life arose and said, no, you're not ready. It's not time. Life was indicating to me, we need you to be here still. I need to share this. So then I had to remember how to breathe, how to feel my body again, come back into my bodily consciousness. Then I lied down on the bed and just said, good night, world. And that was it. And then I woke up in the morning. So, and that's never, that remembrance, the sweetness, the beauty of that has never left me. You can never forget something like that. And it reminded me of the quote from the Bible, even though I'm not a Christian per se, although I've read a great deal of the Bible, of course, in my own time amongst many other Eastern books. When thine two eyes become one, thy body will be filled with light. And of course, that light is the light of divine love. It can be no other.